I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Levitan and The Martian, and it's just hilarious, man. Back-to-back 5-1 losses for the Ottawa Senators, but they're not going to lose 5-1 on March 1st, and that's when we'll be boots on the ground on the Sens shuttle, so make sure to get your tickets at GlebeCentralPub.com. Did they start their vacation 30 minutes early? What the hell did we just watch, dude?
Dude, it certainly seems like they did, man. I mean, it would have been so nice to get these points. We were just talking about it beforehand. It would have gave us that little extra separation in the standings here. And the goal differential takes a big ding as well, Ross. They're now just sitting at +2 on the season for this team. And, they're one of the few teams who are in this race right now for these wildcard spots who have a plus goal differential. But, I mean, tonight they just didn't have it, Ross. They just It was tough, man. It was tough to watch. The first period was all right, but after that, everything just went right down the hill.
I think that's actually what's so funny. That's why I'm laughing, because it's like they tricked me. Like all day I was like, they're going to get pumped. And then they go out there. Ullmark was good in the first. Brady gets a goal. He had 2 opportunities. Could have had another out of the box there on the breakaway. And I bought in. I was hook, line, and sinker. I was eating the worm. And then all of a sudden, 3 goals in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And you're like, okay. As Thomas Shabbat said, we'll get to his audio. They were better than us. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and when you look at the rosters, it's pretty plain to see. Like, they were just better than them on paper and on the ice tonight. So, I mean, for Ottawa, thank God this break is coming. They couldn't use it at a better time. But, yeah, it's nice to see that the boys took their vacation a little bit early this time. Sometimes you have a vacation lined up. You just want to take that day beforehand as well, just to, give yourself that little bit of extra rest. And hopefully that pays off for them down the stretch, because they can't keep playing like this, Ross. That was brutal.
That was awful. I can't watch that again and again and again. And back-to-back games like that, this whole week just stunk. They went to the Sunshine State. You could tell players already had some of their family, friends, girlfriends, wives, everyone coming down to go on their vacation right after. And to go 0-3-0 with a -10 goal differential or 9 goal differential in the 3 games. You got 11-7. You've got, and look, I'm not a cap guy, but you've got Nick Cousins not on LTIR. I just don't understand how they possibly went 11-7 on Thursday and didn't figure out a way to get a forward in the lineup, because it just looked awful. It looked horrible tonight.
Yeah, and not even just having the friends and family in the barn, Ross. This is Hockey Night in Canada, so there's a ton of fans watching this game as well. I mean, across the nation and in North America. So the boys usually would want to get up for a game like this when they know the spotlight's actually going to be on them for once. But yeah, man, it just wasn't good. It was just horrible. That's really how you sum it up. And as far as the Nick Cousins and LTIR thing goes, I mean, this guy's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So why wouldn't you have him on long-term injury reserve, just to bring in a body and get a little extra help in here? Because, I mean, there's guys who are available who are looking for opportunities down in Belleville, and they had a nice 4-0 win today. So, I mean, it makes no sense.
Who had a 4-0 win?
What was that tonight, Belleville, or was that yesterday?
No, they lost 4-0 yesterday.
Oh, my bad. Yeah,
I bet on them tonight, so I'm just gonna take a look. That's so I shouldn't have.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah,
I shouldn't admit to betting on AHL hockey. They lost in overtime.
Oh, classic. Okay, it was a tough one. It was a tough one for the Sens on both sides of it here.
Oh yeah, just a brutal weekend overall. Brutal is the break can't come at a better time. Like, we're at no point are we throwing in the towel on the season or anything like that. I want to make that abundantly clear here 5 minutes into the show. But it's every time they have an opportunity to really give themselves some breathing room and make their path a little easier. Instead of getting the lawnmower out, they just pour like quicksand right in front of them, and they're like, hey, let's see if we can get through another patch, because all of that great work they did on the 5-game win streak, now you've lost 3-0. You've lost all the lead that you would have gotten from that.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the last stretch of games, they win 5, they lose 3, they win 5, they lose 2, and then it's like they did it again. They just won 5 in a row, and then they lost 3. And there might be an overtime game or 2 in the middle of that somewhere. But man, like, this team is so streaky, and it's funny to see, but it's also not funny because, like you said, these points are super important, and any chance they're getting to give themselves a little bit of a bump and create a little bit of separation. I mean, this road trip was ultra important, just being against division rivals as well, and they just weren't able to get anything done. It was 0 points out of 6 in Florida. I was there for those, 4 of those 4-point opportunity, and I didn't see much out of these guys other than that first game, and then since then they've just been horrible.
I mean, we're gonna talk to some beauties who have been in all 3 of these games.
Yeah, I know these poor guys. Like I feel, I know a couple of them, and obviously I got to meet all of them while I was down there in Florida. We, just knowing a few of them, we had to go down and say hi when they were standing down there for warmups, and all great guys, good Orleans boys, and those 4 guys. I'm sure they had a great trip regardless, but I mean, do something for these fellas because they committed to the game here as an away fan going in. 12 guys, Ottawa Senators jumpsuits that have never been seen before. Like, you can't even buy these things. They're fully custom. These guys were rocking it, so. I'm not sure if they're in the backstage here yet or not, Ross, but
I'll bring them on right when they jump on. They're just heading back to the hotel. We tried to get them on right away, but they couldn't hear us as well as we would have liked. So that's going to be a hilarious look. If it's like, maybe they'll be in the lobby, I don't know, but if it's in a hotel room, there's like, what, 10 of them? That'll be a hilarious 12.
I think there's 12 of them. Yeah,
that'll be a hilarious visual. Yeah, now we're welcoming an entire basketball team worth of dudes just chatting puck, talking Ottawa Senators after I don't even know if I said, I think I did. 5-1 was the score tonight. Brady Tkachuk opened the scoring, and now one of the more fun stats for the Sens that they were 22-3 when scoring the first goal. Now they're 0-2-0 in their last 2 times doing it, and it doesn't look as pretty anymore. 22-4-0 now for the Ottawa Senators when they score first. Both Tkachuks found the back of the net. Brady Tkachuk's 21st of the year came on a power play from Drake Batherson and Tim Stützle. That was only 6 minutes and 38 seconds into the game, and it would stay that way until 6 minutes and 18 seconds into the second period. Matthew Tkachuk, all alone, walks out from the corner and beats Linus Ullmark far side. Reinhart and Barkov get the assists on that one. Then Barkov decides, hey, that looked fun. I want to do that. He scores 11:36 into the period. That was on a delayed penalty, tipped in front off of a Matthew Tkachuk. They were calling it a frisbee on the show, and I actually didn't mind that terminology for it. This is when Ullmark wants to have back. Gustav Forsling just comes right down Main Street. Clevin and Hamonic are like, you want him? You want it? Remind me of in the Uber where Chris Weidman's like, yeah, we're at the blue line, and everyone comes out, and Andy's like, oh, shit. Here we go again.
It actually reminded me more of last game when Brandon Hagel walked in. Those 2 guys were just backing away, let him have the shot, and then he just rips it past the goaltender. Obviously, 2 different goaltenders in these 2 games, but man, I looked all too familiar there with Travis Hamonic on the ice, not stepping up on that one. I'm sure Tyler Clevin's going back to maybe whoever his roommate is and be like, man, I don't know why Hamonic's not stepping up on these plays. He's making us both look bad.
It's insane. So at that point, it's 3-1, and then Sam Bennett made it 4-1. That was kind of the icing on the cake, if you will, in that one. So just a tough night at the office for the Ottawa Senators. The 5th one into an empty net, but the Sam Bennett one-timer was like so emphatic. Like when that went in, you're just like, any chance we can just like hit fast forward on the next 30 minutes because it ain't getting many better tonight.
No, and I basically did. That was one of those moments where I go, I don't really need to watch the rest of this one. I think this one's pretty much over. You just pull the phone up, you start scrolling through Twitter, you kind of, get together with the people who are feeling the same way as you. And time flies when you're just, scrolling through that phone sometimes. And you take the odd glance up, and then all of a sudden there's more happening. So it's just like, I don't need to see this stuff anymore.
We'll get to our Sens Central standouts after the break, but one of the biggest storylines heading into this game was Linus Ullmark, who played. And that was the one part of the fan reaction I didn't really understand, was a lot of hate for Linus Ullmark. I get the Gustav Forsling goal you probably want to have, and I understand there were a couple opportunities where it may have got past him a little bit and scooped off the goal line. Jake Sanderson had a couple of plays where he did well on that, but he allowed 4 goals and he had a 911 save percentage tonight, like 915 rather. Like this was season average for Linus Ullmark, and I thought at the end of the day, this is a great game for Linus Ullmark. He was good.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think anyone's going to say that this game was on him for allowing bad goals. That's not the case. And obviously over 40 saves, anytime a goalie does that, he's going to have a decent night. I think the main thing for Sens fans, especially for me anyways, is just like coming into this Four Nations face-off and with his health concerns, I think that's where a lot of those concerns are coming from fans. And I think that it's valid. Like we've seen this kind of thing before with, obviously it was a long time ago, but Dominic Hasek, very similar situation, going to the Olympics and ended up getting hurt with an injury history. And I mean, Ullmark, we're going to have to lend him out here for at least 4 games for Team Sweden. And the worst thing that can happen would be for him to get hurt again or tweak something, with Sweden. So I'm going to give Sens fans a break on this one if they're giving Ullmark a hard time. I don't think any of those goals were particularly horrible, but at the same time, if he's not 100%, he's just in this game just to, make sure that he looks like he's okay to go to the Four Nations, because he's going to be their starter, Ross, with Markstrom going down. So he's going to get his fair share of work down there. But I think everyone can kind of understand where the concern's coming from there. But as far as tonight goes, he was solid, obviously.
Yeah, and it's him and Philip Gustafsson, #Sens Abroad, the 2 goalies for Team Sweden. I hope he plays 2. 2 would be great. Anything more, like I'd rather he not go. I've been vocal about that, but if he's going, I'd rather him not play all 4 games there. And Always Sens writes in, is it time for Keith Tkachuk to come on Locked On Senators, redacted, and tell them how bad the team is, and maybe that's going to turn the season around? I'll put in an ask. I have his email address, so I'll put in an ask.
I don't think it could hurt, Ross, because it worked for Florida, and I think that, I mean, who wouldn't listen to a guy who is, in my opinion, he's basically as close as you can get to being a Hall of Fame player without being a Hall of Fame player. He holds the clout. He's the captain's dad. I think that, Brady probably wouldn't love it if he did the same thing. And I don't think Matthew liked it when he did it at the time either. But whatever works, boys. And if it didn't work, if it worked last time, it might work again. So let him jump on with you guys and maybe, talk a little bit of garbage towards the team, and hopefully that'll wake the boys up, having a well-respected hockey mind and hockey player like Keith Tkachuk come in here and give the boys a little bit of help.
Amazing. Sens fans in van, can I have your attention, please? The following players had a good game. Ullmark, Linus, that is all. I would argue Brady Tkachuk had a good game too. Saw some fans getting on him. The Ottawa Senators as a team had 27 shots, but at one point, the shots were 12 for the Ottawa Senators, except for Brady Tkachuk, and 11 for Brady. Finished the game with 11 shots on goal, had 1 that went in the net. I understand that it's still a bad game for everyone overall, but he had his legs, he had his juice. I thought Brady answered the bell tonight.
Yeah, and compared to the games that I saw in Tampa, where it looked like he was just in try not to get injured mode against the Tampa Bay Lightning heading into the Four Nations, I did kind of feel that way. I think I sent the group message to the group chat with you and Jack and Pilsy in the Postcast crew chat, just saying this guy looks like he's checked out. But then as soon as he got slammed into the boards and got the wind kind of knocked out of him on that play against Tampa in the second game, he kind of came to life a little bit more after that. And I was hoping it was going to carry over to this game. And it looked like it did, because he looked a lot better tonight than in the first period, he did more in that first period than he did in those first 2 games against Tampa. So I know he always gets up for the Tkachuk Bowl. I'm not sure. I didn't see any, video footage of the Tkachuk family being there, but I can only imagine that a few of them at least were around. And
they were too busy covering every storyline between the 2 brothers on the ice. I
mean, how funny is that with Sportsnet? They are beating that story to death, and it's been 6 years now where these guys are playing against each other. Even Brady said in the before the, I don't know if it was before the game or whatever. He's just, so the novelty's kind of worn off with us playing against each other, but he's excited to go play with his brother, the Four Nations.
Yeah, and fair enough. They'll have that opportunity now. Now we'll have an opportunity to hit a break here. The boys will be by shortly. I also want to have another conversation about players that we need to see more out of, and Sens fans and Van are on the right track with where I'm going on that one as well. But first, allow me to tell you that the Postcast is brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub, the GCP, where the vibes are free. You can head there at 779 Bank Street and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. If you're in the area and feeling down after a tough Sens loss, well, you can head to the GCP. The Fake McCoys are on the stage until midnight tonight. The Fake McCoys. Next Saturday, it'll be TJ Morrison and Whiskey River on February 22nd. February 22nd is also their next Sens shuttle. So perfect little parlay there where you head to the game on the GCP shuttle. Sens Habs, get back, watch a little music, and have a great time at the Glebe Central Pub. So head to where the vibes are free. That is the GCP, and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. And on a Sens game day, you'll get 10% off your order. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. If you need last-minute tickets, of course you want them at the lowest prices. So head to Game Time for all your ticketing needs, whether it's soccer, football, baseball, basketball, comedy, theater, music, or more. Just make sure to head to Game Time. They've got a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets even easier. It filters out the fluff, only shows you incredible deals on great seats. That way you're not wasting time searching through thousands of tickets you can use for the game, for the Super Bowl. Martian, what do you think the cheapest tickets are for the Super Bowl right now on Game Time?
You have the answer to that?
I will soon.
I think it's probably, it's got to be $1,500 for the cheapest seats, right?
The cheapest seats, let's go. Price low to high. The terrace, the 600 level, $2,250 per ticket to get in USD.
And that's on Game Time, so you know that that's going to be the cheapest you're going to find. So that's pretty crazy. I think I remember hearing that stat like 3 or 4 years ago. It was $1,500 to get the cheapest seat you can get. I'm like, that is just insane. My entire trip to Florida basically cost me around that USD. So that's a crazy number. But you know what? When you're on Game Time, you never know
because they have zone deals. They got it all. Like they got a super deal right now that's in the top 1% value. Row 13, 123 for $3,430 to get in. Compared to what you're paying up top, that's a great deal, and that's because of our friends over at Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
And we use...
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan, and that is Linus Martian. What's up, dude?
No, we used Game Time on the way, in Tampa. I bought the first set of tickets before we left, and I bought the second set of tickets while we were in Tampa. It was funny seeing, like, all of us Sens fans. We were all kind of doing the same thing. We were using the Locked On promo code, and we were buying these tickets. We ended up swapping seats with a few of them, right? Like, it's like the first game I was sitting here, and then we had Gab LaFrance, who obviously was a boots on the ground and good Twitter account as well. And then we just like ended up trading seats because we just ended up buying the ones that he bought last time, and then he bought the ones that we bought. So it was just pretty funny to see that everybody was supporting the cause.
There's so many Sens fans that went to these 3 games. I feel so bad. This is the performance they got.
Yeah, it was tough, but it was fun. It was just such a different experience being an away fan in Florida. Beautiful. Like that was the first time I've ever walked into an NHL rink with shorts on. For the first game, I wore pants. It was freezing in that rink, by the way. But for the second game, I said, you know what? Golf. I got a lot of sun today. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna rock the shorts, cool down a bit, and it was fun. Yeah, and just walking around, you're friends with everybody who's wearing a Sens jersey. It's a fantastic experience. If you haven't done it yet, you got to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. So I'm glad you guys had fun, and we'll hear from the loser crew, as they're being affectionately known as, the dozen beauties that went down, all wearing matching Sens gear with the mustaches. You would have seen them on TSN on the broadcast during the week if you watched them there. We got to talk about Tim Stützle. He's on a career-high 8-game point streak, and yet I find myself disappointed with his effort tonight. How is that possible?
Yeah, well, tonight it just seemed like Timmy, got his one cookie and then he kind of just disappeared. He just was done with himself. He's ready for his vacation. I think that he's got his mind on Mexico or wherever that he may be heading. I'm assuming probably with the other two young centermen on the team, Pinto and Norris. Those three guys seem to get along really well. Probably a few other guys in the mix, but these guys, they got one foot out the door. It seemed like halfway through this game, and I think Tim Stützle. I mean, his game showed it. He's usually a monster out there, and he just really didn't have a ton of effort. And then on that empty netter, just the way he kind of slapped that stick out of there, he gave up on the play way too early, and it cost the team, 2 minutes of what would have been empty net time, which is hilarious because there was 6 minutes left in the game at that point. Travis Green already had the net pull for a full minute. He was going for let's just win this thing on an empty netter. If we have a chance, we're down by 3. What do we have to lose right here, fellas? And Tim Stützle just said, he basically decided that we're not coming back. I'm just going to take a penalty here and be a dummy. So you don't see that kind of stuff very often from Timmy. He has usually a little bit more composure than that. But I just called it a lack of maturity there from Tim Stützle. It was a Timmature move. Timmature.
They just got bullied by two teams that have been in the fight for 5 years straight.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're going to get, right? This is an experience. Those are two experienced teams who know how to win. They've both got cups in the last 5 years. So, and maybe 3 years. I don't even know. Tampa, 4 years, maybe.
4, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, these teams know how to do it. They got great coaches, and that's what you're going to get. You're going to get dominated by teams like that until you get yourself over that hump. And I'm telling you right now, Ross, if this ends up being our first round matchup against the Florida Panthers, should the Ottawa Senators make the playoffs, they are going to be in one because I can see this being a sweep situation if they run into these Cats.
A 3-game sweep.
Yeah, the old 3-game sweep.
The old 3-game.
Honestly, yeah, and then maybe Travis Green will come in the media and pull the Rod Brendamore because that wasn't a sweep. It wasn't a sweep, But
no. Look, if the Ottawa Senators get to the playoffs this year, they've met my expectations.
That's fair, yeah, absolutely. But it would still be disappointing to not, give the hometown fans one good win at home.
Yeah.
Playoffs. I think that we can set the bar at that should they make it.
One win. Okay. What do you think of Ridley Greig's penalty that kind of set the wheels in motion for the rest of the tomfoolery? He just decided, hey, I'm going to punch Sam Reinhart in the face 5 times.
I mean, yeah, it was a bit of he kind of speared him. It was weird. He almost football tackled him too, right? That was just an odd decision from Ridley. And I mean, we know he can kind of get off the rails a little bit, but I mean, maybe he's one of those guys too. He's just maybe just a little bit.
You think a part of it could be that they're being asked to do too much right now with Norris and Pinto? Because, think about it. It's two centermen that are 23 years old right now that we're kind of ripping apart because they didn't do enough in a loss against Sasha Barkov down the middle.
Yeah, I think that was kind of what I was going to go to. Is just he's facing these guys and he's probably just frustrated with the lack of space he has out there, and he goes, "I need to do something here." He's got that element to his game, so I think he was probably just let me see what I can do to get the boys going, and it just didn't work. I liked his game before he did that. I think he was kind of creating. He was making hits and making plays, and I didn't hate his game prior to that. But that was a costly penalty, and obviously he didn't even end up having to serve it because they scored on the delay. But yeah, it is what it is with Ridley Greig. You got to take the good with the bad with that young boy. He's going to go out there and he's going to go crazy.
But I mean, it just kind of it bled into the rest of the period. That was, I mean, it was really where things fell apart.
Yeah, no, for sure, Ross. And we've seen other guys who have that similar element to their game, cost the team in that way when they don't mean to. Even Brady Tkachuk does it from time to time when he gets in a fight that maybe he shouldn't, or takes a bad penalty early. He did that tonight too. I mean, ideally, you don't want to go down a man in the first 5 minutes of the game on the road. And, especially when it's your captain who does it. I don't know if I agree with the penalty entirely, but Brady obviously didn't agree with it. But either way, you have to kill one off here for the team, and they were able to do that for Brady. But in Ridley Greig's case, he wasn't so lucky, buddy. He wasn't so lucky.
And at 5-on-5, the biggest matchup for Alexander Barkov was Tim Stützle, 4 minutes and 40 seconds. The shot attempts 9-6 for Barkov when they were on the ice. No goals were scored either way when Barkov was on the ice tonight at 5-on-5, of course. Thomas Chabot and Nick Jensen defended the most against Barkov, and 1 shot attempt for Chabot and 9 against while they were head-to-head. But it's a tough matchup. It's a team that's learning how to win, and they just, as James says, we just suck tonight. Plain and simple. You can look at the injuries. You can look at that. You can say that the break's coming at a perfect time for the Sens, and let's regroup here afterwards and hopefully put on a bit better of a show. But we've got more of our show to put on tonight. We'll just take a quick break for station identification, and we'll be right back. Hopefully the boys jump on. We're getting a little antsy with them, and we'll wrap up today's show with some other thoughts on a 5-1 loss for the Ottawa Senators. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan. That is Linus Martian. I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone for making us a part of your daily routine. It has been such a busy stretch of hockey for the Ottawa Senators. Like basically since January 2nd, really, right? Like you had the time off at the Christmas, and then Ottawa had 3 days off right after. And really since January 2nd, it has been it's been quite something. The Sens had the big win streak in there. Now they've got a bit of a losing streak in there. So it's going to be a nice time. Take a little step back here, and then we'll be ready for the stretch run. Because, Martian, I keep coming back to this. If you had told me at the start of the season that the Sens would be first wild card spot at the Four Nations break, I would have taken that and ran.
As a fan, that's all you can do is look back at your expectations and say, is my team meeting my expectations? And I think the answer is yes for us right now, Ross. Honestly, absolutely at the beginning of the season, if you told us you were going to be in a playoff spot heading into this Four Nations break, I don't think there's a Sens fan out there who wouldn't have taken that. I know that there's been so many opportunities for them to get more points, and they've let some games slip away, and they've gotten some really bad skids. That 5-game losing streak earlier in the year, that right there, to me, I was almost ready to pack it in right there. But they've held in there. They're still right in the race, and they're not looking at themselves in a position where they need to be the team who's jumping all these other teams to get into the playoffs either. They got games in hands on a couple teams. I know there's a few teams that have games in hand on them, but they're where you want to be at this point in the season. So they just need to keep doing what they're doing, and they're gonna be okay.
They'll be okay. Hopefully, they got 16 of their last 26 games are at home. That's huge. I don't think that can be understated.
No, that's definitely huge, and I think their big boys definitely show up more at home and hopefully the fans show up too, because when the fans are bumping, so are the Sens, and I think that goes a long way. I've been in the building for a lot of games this year, as you know, and at home on home ice when the building's full, the team seems to respond really, really nicely to that. So hopefully they just keep doing that. The Sens show up, the fans show up, and then. Like I said, that's an advantage. That's a big advantage. And also strength of schedule is an advantage as well. I think I saw that the Sens might have the first or second best strength of schedule. I might have done this to you again, Ross.
I'm literally staring right at it. I'll
whatever it is. I mean, it's gonna be one of the top 5 in the league, I think.
Second easiest.
So that's pretty good. And so that right there is another thing. And even I think the Leafs would probably be one of those teams that is considered a hard one, but we all know when the Battle of Ontario comes, it becomes a coin flip. So they're not in a terrible spot. That's for sure. That's all I'll say.
Sens are 3-2 against those bottom 5 teams though right now, right? They've lost 2 to Buffalo. They lost in overtime to Philly, and they lost against the Montreal Canadiens. So
yeah, you got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, and then give it hell to the teams that are you maybe on paper aren't supposed to be, but you got to win a few of those. So I like it. I like what I'm looking at there, Ross.
Some people are saying, like Jimmy Stew, that this has to do with you not shaving your head with the whole Tinted Timmy.
That's a good point. I didn't really commit to that. You're right. I should have probably just done it. There was times where I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it right before my vacation. I had a whole idea all set up. I was going to do it. Trust me. But nah, I'm sorry I didn't pull it off. And now Timmy's already got a fade going with his head shave. So I don't know if it's ever going to happen. And I kind of like what my hair is doing right now too. So we'll see. We'll see if desperation mode comes and you guys need me to do it, I'll do it. But I don't think we're quite there yet.
I just want them to win. Winning's so much fun. That Nashville game was so awesome on Monday night, and it's just unfortunate. Especially with the long break in between now, you just want to leave with some sort of good taste in your mouth. And the fact that we were roped into it's the worst part. The fact that they played a good road period, they still gave up their chances, don't get me wrong, but they played a good road first period, and Ullmark looked good, and Brady looked good. You're like, the boys are going to lead them in. They even scored on a power play.
I know, right? Like early in the game too. It's like, yeah, everything was kind of coming up early for the Sens there, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
All right. Well, are we waiting for the loser squad? Because I'm ready to pack it in.
Yeah, I just texted them. I'm getting a typing little emoji right now. It looks like they took the long way home. They were only supposed to be 20 minutes, but I don't know what happened to them. But I said, how long do they need? So we're going to get an answer here soon. Might have to get them to do it right from the street. Who knows? We'll see.
Tell them to jump on. And in the meantime, we'll take a couple questions for the chat. If chat has questions, we appreciate everybody for being here after each and every Sens game. Whether they win 6-0, remember that? Feels like forever ago last Saturday against Minnesota, or they lose 5-1. We'll be here in the mix for you. And we got lots of interviews planned, by the way, for next week and the week after on Locked On Senators. A couple prospects, one that you haven't heard from before. Joe Bell wants to get into the trades. It's so funny. It's like after wins, we always talk about what went well. And then if they lose, we talk about trades. How do you fix the team? The problem is they can't even call everybody up because of their cap situation right now. So,
I got a question. I got a question from this guy right here, just asking if I painted my nail. No, I did not paint my nail. I took a slash in hockey and it got
nice.
It got blackened up. But man, I don't know what Staios is going to do. He's kind of been a sleeping giant here. He might surprise the world.
Steady, dude.
He might do nothing. I wouldn't be surprised. I think the main thing for this team right now, as far as fixing them goes, is they got to get healthy. I mean, we need Norris and Pinto back ASAP, or just give me one of them because the team looks so much different, especially with both. As soon as Pinto went out early in that first Tampa game, I go, damn, because this is going to be such an uphill battle without him. And also, I'm sitting, 3 rows back of Frank Pinto, who's watching his son play in that kind of little family friend section they had going there for the Sens. And I watched this heartbreak in real time because it did look like possibly a shoulder injury, and we know the history there. Obviously, that's an exciting trip for the friends and family to be there for that kind of thing. So it was kind of sad to watch, but yeah, we need these guys back, and I think that's the main fix. And I think I said it last postcast. This team's good when they are healthy, but we know the record when Tim Stützle, Shane Pinto, and Josh Norris are all in the lineup, and it's damn good. So you just got to get these guys back in here and hope they can stay healthy down the stretch and into the playoffs, because if they are, that's what you need to be a good team. And I think they probably do need a little bit of depth health, but other than that, I'm pretty comfortable with this team. They're at this stage, right, where they kind of got to let them figure it out on their own to know what they have without giving up all these assets for the future. Because if they're going to be trading picks and all this stuff again, you can't look at this prospect pool and say, wow, we got a great prospect pool. We got guys coming. They don't. We don't have anything coming. We got Carter Yakimchuk, and
Blake Montgomery.
I would maybe say Blake Montgomery and Stephen Halliday. Who knows what he's going to turn into? He might sneak up, but he's kind of in that. I would put him in that same tier as sort of Ostapchuk, and Ostapchuk, hasn't been able to turn the offense on in the NHL level yet. He's still young, but that sort of caliber of player is what you're looking at there, and so they need to keep these picks too. So I wouldn't be jeopardizing too much of what could be the future for just a little bit of depth help that might not even be the thing that pushes you over the hump to get into the playoffs in the first place. These guys are kind of on their own. They got to do it. They got to do it together. They've been a core for a long time, and if not, maybe they start looking at other options in the offseason.
Will Anton Forsberg be an Ottawa Senator at the trade deadline? From our guy, Zach. That's the toughest question for me because, you could see how even if he's playing well, like it's not their fault, but the cap would show that you need that money to implement elsewhere. And having a goalie of Marylinen's status now after how well he's played in 12 games in the minors just feels like you could spend that money somewhere else. So I think that's the fan take of it. But I do think that a guy like Steve Staios is very concerned about having legitimate depth at that position. So my gut tells me there will not be a Forsberg change by the deadline, but my irrational fan brain is saying that you probably should look to move him if you can and not give up an asset or retain too much salary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I want to give up too many assets, Ross. Right? It's like I'm kind of in that same camp right now where I was just saying, where like if you're going to be giving guys up, then I just don't like doing that. I think that the group is going to be good. The group is going to be fine as long as they get healthy. Staios, I trust him still. I know that he's being very steady and the fans are being extremely patient with him, but at the same time, I'm more in the camp where it's just like, if this group can't get it done, then they're not going to, that's not going to be the group that's going to be able to do it in the long term anyways. So they got to do it this year. They got to do it. Otherwise, there's going to be fires in Ottawa, man. It's going to be, fans are going to be pissed. There's going to be players who have been through this for so many years that they're going to be pissed too. But yeah, that's where we're at.
If you could sum up the entire Florida trip, you could look at it two ways. One, like Travis Green, after the Panthers scored 5-1, shots were 48-27 there. Or you can look at the Florida trip and you can look at it like you're having a good time down south. Like our guys, Scotty and Mully, the loser squad, as we're calling them. What's up, fellas? Great to see you. You guys were taking more time on TSN than anybody else the last couple days.
Well, thanks for having us, fellas. Yeah, we definitely took our lumps over the last few days, but we've been having a great time nonetheless.
Yeah, no shit, eh? How'd you get all those all the gear set up? Who was in charge of that? That's full-time
That's this
job.
man right back here, our buddy Lawrence. He went to the Philippines in December, and we found these shirts and shorts on some website, and he said, "Don't bother, boys. I can get my cousins to hook us up straight from the Philippines." So that's our man Lawrence setting the boys up for the trip.
Unreal, boys. I know it's been tough for you guys, but the trip's been good overall, right? The vibes are still high over there.
Vibes are still great. I think the plan is to hit the Elbow Room tonight and see what that has to offer. So we're keeping the energy up. And hey, like we've been saying the whole trip, if we could say that going into the Four Nations break we'd be in a playoff spot still, I think we'd all take that. So haven't checked the standings. I think that's still where they're going to stand after tonight. So still on the up and up. We're still optimistic that after 18 days of rest, the boys are going to be ready to go and keep the train rolling.
The rest is key. The rest is key.
Yeah, rest is key. Came at a great time. If you had to say one building was better than the other or the experience within it, what's the call out between those two?
Florida.
I don't know. I think overall Florida's got a nicer building. The food was excellent. The people were really friendly. But in terms of animosity, a hostile environment, I got to give that one to Tampa. Just the way the building's set up. It's a little bit more steep and tight. It's really dark in there. And I thought the fans really brought it and got into it a little bit more in Tampa Bay.
Was anyone going over the line to you guys? Do you have to straighten anyone out?
No, that's something we were pretty surprised about, actually. Everybody was definitely gave their jabs as we gave them back, but they were all pretty friendly. We were all shaking hands at the end of the game, so
yeah,
the vibes were great.
It might not hurt when you have 12 guys with you, right? Like, I mean, that's a good sized squad you guys have over there too. So, like, I mean, definitely. I don't know many other people who are going to games with 10 buddies who could take you guys on even if they wanted to.
No, for sure. There's definitely some beef on this trip, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of luck too, because like the Sens fans were all over you guys. I mean, I was with you guys for a little bit. I was part of like a couple pictures, and then everybody else was asking for photos with you guys. That must have been a lot of fun, just getting all that attention too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a ton of fun. Everybody was so friendly, wanted to take pictures. We were just a spectacle for all three games, but it was fun. And you know what? You got to soak it up while it lasts, because we'll be going back home to the snow, and we'll be walking the halls of CTC as a nobody in about a couple weeks. So it's all good. It was a lot of fun.
You guys need to be at the first, if knock on wood, playoff game. You got to pull those out of the closet and get the reboot going to the boy band. What's that?
Absolutely. He said that's a guarantee, brother. We'll be there.
Okay. Awesome. That's great. I want to ask you a question about like what happened on the ice, but I feel like it's so depressing. Like, what's your biggest takeaway from the 3 games overall? Whether it's a player that you wish would have stepped up, something that impressed you, maybe that you see at the game you don't see on TV, or anything in particular you saw from the Sens.
I mean, in terms of players that should have maybe stepped up a bit more, I thought Timmy, could have been that X factor player that we probably needed him to be. But ultimately it came down to injuries. It's tough to win without 2 of your top 3 centers anytime, and playing the team, the caliber of teams that they were playing, that was a tough ask for the boys. I think the streets are saying that the boys are pretty bagged after a long stretch of road trips, and I think they're all looking forward to the break. So
we just need a spark, like a Chris Neal that would just go in and start a fight and spark the team up. That's what we think we're missing a bit.
Yeah, they look to be lacking a bit of pushback at times, just try and take the game to the other team and get in their kitchen a little bit more and try and maybe drag them into a bit more of a fight and more of a third line grinder type of game, since that's pretty much the makeup of the roster that they were icing.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually, because the only time they really pushed back tonight was Ridley, and it wasn't even like a pushback. It was just like I feel like punching in the face a couple times. They score on that power play, and it was kind of curtains from there on out. Absolutely. But is that something you're hoping gets addressed towards the deadline here, or do you just want the guys who are in the room already to bring a little bit more sandpaper?
I think that would be nice, with maybe a third line, like top 9 guy that can maybe slide up a bit in the lineup. I think that's obviously what they're hoping David Perron could be, but it's tough to jump on the treadmill at speed 11 this far into the season for him. He doesn't have a ton of games under his belt yet this year, so they might have to look to make a move to address that for sure.
Well, the loser squad is not it's not indicative of the vibes you're bringing here, so we appreciate the hell out of you. Get your elbows all greased up, hit the town tonight, and we appreciate you on behalf of all Sens fans for representing so well this week down south. So keep it rolling. You win some, you lose some. It's all part of the experience. But you can end the night on a high, and I know you will with that squad there. So thanks for coming on and sharing your energy and everything with us here on the show.
Thanks for having us, boys. Go Sens, go.
All right, go Sens, go. There they go. The loser squad that has 0 losers in it, just a bunch of beauties, but unfortunately they go 0-3-0 down south. Glad we got them on. Absolute great guys, and love when Sens fans bring some energy and noise and pizzazz and draw attention to themselves. Too often Sens fans are, taking a back seat to those other big markets. So shout out to the squad there. Absolutely fantastic. Steve-O mentioning the amazing dusters they're all rocking too. So just great energy from them. And I feel like it's a nice pick-me-up for us, Marshy, after a pretty tough show. Like, I just couldn't help myself from laughing right when we opened the show. I just that was one of their worst beatdown, like the most lopsided beatdown. They've had worse losses, Vancouver, Philadelphia, Buffalo, but like where you just got worked and there was nothing you could do about it.
It's either you laugh or you cry, Ross, and we're not going to get on here and start crying because we go viral for that. So we're just going to laugh our way through this one. Everything's going to be fine. They got a big break coming up. I think everything is going to be it's kind of a reset for everybody, for us as fans and for the team. We can enjoy the 4 nations, and then we'll get right back to it going forward here in the next 10 days.
Silver lining. There's 2 parts of it. The first one is Linus Ullmark looked good. Like, he didn't look at his best. His rebound control wasn't perfect, all that, but like he was good. Like he's back. He didn't stumble, because then you'd start thinking, is the injury worse? Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Opens a can of worms. Linus Ullmark was great in this game. I'll say great. .915 save percentage against the Stanley Cup champs. Peppered. 34 shots in the first 2 periods.
Yeah, no, I think the one thing that I wish I had a little bit more of a visual on in this game that I saw a lot of in Tampa was he was doing a lot of stretching on his back during TV timeouts and in between whistles in that first game in Tampa. So I would be curious to see if he was doing a lot of the same kind of thing because you can tell he is kind of, I don't know if he's 100% Ross. He's got to be 100% if he's in there, I'm guessing, but he is kind of favoring something there in that back. But other than that, Ross, you're right, man. He looked insanely good. Like there was multiple times tonight where I said out loud, great save, great save, great save. And it was always because Linus Ullmark was tracking the puck extremely well, getting his blocker on things, catching pucks. And yeah, there wasn't really a ton of moments where I was extremely worried about his play at all. It was mainly everything that was happening in front of him that was giving me gears. Yeah,
except for Brady Tkachuk, who showed up. And we had a YouTube short today being like, hey, we need Brady to be better. He was better today. He's 13 shot attempts, 11 on goal, 1 went in the back of the net. He was engaged physically. Like Brady was good, Ullmark was good. And I'll throw Jake Sanderson in there because he didn't make any egregious mistakes like almost every other defenseman did. And as a hashtag goalie friendly show, he made a kick save on the empty net, which was
that was a great one. Yeah, it actually, it reminded me of what game was that where he made that big? It was the Boston game. Yeah, it was the Boston game. Yeah, same kind of thing. He's committed to making sure that he's going to play defense. He's going to make sure that he can do everything in his power to stop the other team from scoring. And yeah, Sanderson was okay tonight. Yeah,
Sens had so the Sens had 27 shots, 17 were by either Brady Tkachuk or Jake Sanderson out of 27.
It's crazy. I mean, so you got to spread it around a little more than that.
Jake Sanderson had 6 shots. Thomas Chabot had 3, and no other defenseman had a single one for Ottawa tonight. Chabot also had 2 blocks, 2 hits in this game. Sorry, I meant to say Sanderson. Chabot had 3 and 3. But yeah, I think Jake Sanderson was fun to watch tonight, but everyone else stunk.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's no point for us doing standouts tonight with that effort. I mean,
I'll take Ullmark, you take Brady. All right, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we just did that, so that's perfect. Yeah, well, let's run with that. And I mean, we got the Super Bowl tomorrow. We got the Four Nations coming up. We don't have to really think about the Sens too much. I think there's a trade freeze on right now,
no trade freeze.
Maybe I would call it probably an unofficial trade freeze. I think a lot of these guys are going to be
maybe for the players that are at the tournament.
Yeah, you don't want to see a guy get traded while he's there. I think that would be kind of weird. But I mean, unless it's
Sidney Crosby, the World Juniors all the time.
True, but unless it's Sidney Crosby, I don't know if anybody really wants to see any of those guys get their minds screwed up, especially for Canada. So I think it's going to be an unofficial trade freeze, and then once they get back, then we're on, baby. We're back. So let's enjoy the break. Let's enjoy the great sports that are ahead of us here on this break, and then. Let's get focused on the thing that really matters, and that's the Ottawa Senators getting into the playoffs and going down the stretch.
All right, well said. Sens lose 5-1 to the Florida Panthers. Martian, your Super Bowl pick tomorrow.
I gotta go Eagles. I don't bet against Patrick Mahomes on officially. I'm gonna be taking the Eagles on a teaser. I'm gonna take them minus or plus 6.5. So as long as the Kansas City Chiefs don't beat them by a touchdown, I'm going to be a winner no matter what. And if they end up beating them straight up, then I'm going to be happy about that as well. And I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a big one. It's his birthday. Obviously, a lot of people know that. So
it's his birthday?
Yeah. So he's going to be looking for records, I think. He's had opportunities to break records. He's kind of taking a backseat to it because it's, maybe just he wants a little break or he wants to get other guys on the field. I think he's a great team player, but when it comes down to the Super Bowl and it's the brightest lights in probably sports history, this guy's going to go off. I'd be looking at Saquon Barkley, probably a touchdown, and I wouldn't be surprised, Ross, if they end up winning this game, he could run for maybe 200 yards. I'm not kidding.
Okay, well, you said it. Keep an eye on Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles. And, we're the show for fans, by fans. Always Sens says, can we watch Travis Green together? Let's wrap up this first half of the season, the unofficial first half, with Travis Green, courtesy of the Ottawa Senators YouTube page.
I thought the second period, obviously, they really turned the tide like a good team can do. The game got away from us in about a 15-minute span. We turned over some pucks, lost some puck battles, a couple little details, and a good team's going to make you pay, and that's what they did.
This is a good learning lesson for your hockey club. I mean, this is, I'm assuming, how you want your team to play.
I mean, that's exactly right. When you watch their team play, they don't change their game a lot. They know how to play to win, and they stick with it.
Break comes at a good time for both the team and for you personally as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole league probably, they've been, it's been a grind a little bit with the schedule. Everyone's been traveling lots and playing a lot of games, and obviously we got a few key injuries, and that'll speed up the process for getting them back too.
Team also sits in a playoff spot going into this break and coming out of it as well. Just what do you hope to see from the team now going to this last little push?
We're in a good spot. As disappointing as it is to lose this last game, and you got to step back and look at the big picture as well. And it's going to be a sprint to the end.
All right, there goes Travis Green.
That was quick. I love it, though. Yeah, man needs a break. I love that question. Is this come as a good time for a break for the team and for you personally? Like, are you trying to say I look tired? Like, what's the deal there?
He
like,
sounded exhausted.
Yeah, I know, but like,
I don't blame him, man. He's probably a little. Yeah, Steve's wondering, exhausted or pissed? A bit of both.
Probably both.
Probably both. All right, we appreciate everybody. This has been a wild grind of a first 50. Is it 56 games? Same amount that they played in the same amount they played in the COVID year. So maybe we'll compare and contrast just to show how much better it's gotten around here.
That'd be a good idea. Maybe for you and Pilsy on your next show. Just
we got lots planned.
A little perspective here.
We got lots planned. We're excited. We'll be back Monday. Everyone enjoy your Sunday. First Senators weekend loss since December 28th. More than a month. And we're only 3 weeks away, as Spiegler put, from boots on the ground. San Jose, Ottawa.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that one. So appreciate everybody for being with us. We'll chat with you on Monday. For The Martian, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.